Welcome to BodySlims Online. I'm really excited about bringing this to you. It's taken a long time to be able to put together something that I was absolutely comfortable with, that I knew would get the results for you that you really want. I'm going to be working with you for the next 10 weeks, and let me tell you right at the start, what you're going to get is an unedited version of me. They were showing me all this stuff of, clips in, and suddenly my face would be up close to you and you'd have a nice side profile. So you're going to have to get used to looking at me like this. I ain't going to improve on this, but the reason that I do it, everything I do for a reason. And the reason for that is whenever I look at this stuff, what I realize is people are talking at you, not to you. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking directly to you. And to do that, I need, to the best of my ability, to be able to focus 100% on you, and you need to be able to hear me. To do with different parts of your brain, and what I need from, so I should say this, if I need to change my notes, I have, by the way, sentences that last longer than 2 hours. But today we're going to be doing 2 hours. I know it's a bit long, bear with me. But if I need to move my notes or get a drink of water, I don't want them cutting it. I don't want them editing it. I just want this to be you and me. I want it to be direct, like you're in the room with me here. If I have to get a drink of water, people see it. And I don't want to create a camouflage. As you will get an unedited version of me, I want an unedited version of you. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you're looking at this right now and you have the TV, if Netflix is on in the background, the sound is turned down, I know. But no, if that's there and the dog is jumping up at you because he wants to go, please stop. Please put it on pause right now. Go up to your bedroom, go up to bed, and kind of getting a vision of you now going to somebody tomorrow, how was your new course last night? Well, he's a bit sick. He sent me to bed. He sent me to bed in the first few minutes. No, that's not what I'm doing. I just mean, can you get a quiet place, somewhere you can put the headphones in and be undisturbed? There are different parts of our brain. And for you to get longevity out of this, for this to really be effective for you, I need to be able to communicate with both parts of your brain, front and the back. And if you let me do that, and if you do it with me, I promise you, it will stay there. And you know what? You deserve that. You deserve this time, and it really is important. I want an unedited version of you, an unedited commitment to the program. This seminar will be up for 48 hours. That's it. And then you won't have access to it again. Why is that? Because I want you on the program. I want you with me. I'm not going to allow you to procrastinate. You must make the time. You must watch it, and you'll get 2 burns of the program. Ideally, this one, okay, is going to be different, but every week after that, it's going to be pretty much an hour. And by the way, my times are approximate because I talk to you. So I don't actually work off. I do have notes, by the way, and they're to try to keep me to time. So if you see me glancing over and doing that, that's what I'm actually doing. It's because I do realize you do have to go to bed sometime. So I could talk forever. But I'm trying to talk to you, yeah? And I want an unedited version of you. I want you with me all the way through this, because I'm going to put up more content for you as well. And if you're meaning to do it and you're going to do it, you ain't going to get to it. You're going to be leaving it all till the last minute. And that's a part of the behavioral pattern which has actually got you here in the first place. And I'm trying to stamp it out straight away. I'm trying to be on it right at the start. So that all being said, are we ready to get into it? Well, the first thing, I start every seminar with these lines. I always say, how are you guys doing? Good, great, or brilliant? And it kind of sounds like, I know, it sounds like a catchphrase, doesn't it, from the worst quiz show or something in history. But what it's really about, what am I really doing? What I'm trying to let people know right from the start is, you get to pick. You get to pick exactly how and who you want to be. And exactly how you want to feel. That's in your power. And as we go through life, very few people, and I'm guessing if you watch this, you're probably not in exactly the place you want to be. And it kind of happens to us. We become what I call victims of life. We don't have a plan, in other words. But we get there anyway. We don't mean that to happen, but that's where we end up. And that's where you guys, I'm guessing, are right now. And over the next 10 weeks, I want to try and take you from victims to victors, at least in this area. Just maybe in this area, hopefully you'll be able to spread it into other areas as well. And that's why I say this. And what I'm actually talking about really here is, I believe, and I know this to be true, we all have, you, you have a huge amount of what I call latent potential. And let me explain that to you. If you had to lose weight and your life depended on it, you'd be up here. Let's call that 100%. It's actually, I call it peak. You'd be up there at 100%. Now, where you probably are at the moment is probably somewhere here at about 50%. And you know what I'm saying to be true. You know this is true. You know you could give so much more. And it's my job over the next 10 weeks to try to get you up, till you're performing at a better level. And what we're trying to do is tap in to your latent potential. And believe me, you have this, and I'm going to get you there. And once you start getting there, the funniest thing is, yeah, the weight loss will be brilliant, the shape change will be brilliant, it'll all be great, and it'll be the smallest part of what you're going to get, because how you're going to feel because of what you're doing, of where you're moving to, it's going to be exhilarating. It's going to be incredible feeling. And I'm guessing you know what I'm talking about. I'm guessing you know you have this potential, but it's hard to tap into, isn't it? And that's what I'm going to be trying to help you to do over the next 10 weeks. But so we do all this, and this is really with the heavy lifting. Let me be clear, it's you. When we get this right, we still need a program that works. And you know, a lot of programs on the market aren't what they say they are. You know, you've been probably down this road before. You lose some weight, you gain the weight back. BodySlims is different. And my guess is, if you're looking at this, maybe you've had a friend who's done it and you've seen amazing shape change, or maybe a family member, or you just saw pictures of it and you've kind of gone, wow. And it's funny, because I used to start my programs with a picture of a lovely lady called Jackie Ryan. And she came on one of my earliest seminars on BodySlims. And what she did was, she also had fibromyalgia. And Jackie had become a victim of fibromyalgia. And over the 10 weeks, she got back in control of her life. And as she said, it no longer controlled her. She started to control it. But along the way, she also lost weight. And she sent in a before and an after picture. And I used to start every seminar by putting up this picture of Jackie before and after. And I would say to people, guess how much weight Jackie has lost? Because it was a very, very different picture. The two pictures, there was a huge difference. And I think that the most I ever had shouted up at me was 3.5 stone. The least was 2.5 stone. And I used to sort of stop everything and I'd go, would it surprise you to know that Jackie lost 20 pounds, 1 pound shy of 1.5 stone over the 10 weeks? And people would kind of go, oh, that must be that tricky photography or something. You couldn't get that kind of change with that. But you can. And the reason that you can is this little guy. I don't have a lot of props, by the way, but I do have this one. 5 pounds of body fat. Just 5 pounds of body fat. And that, my friends, is the space that it takes up. This is a perfect anatomical representation of 5 pounds of body fat. Now, what I want you to think of when it comes to weight loss, whenever you've done weight loss programs, the fastest way to lose weight is to go into a sauna. Yeah, that's what a jockey does to make the weight for a race. It's what a boxer does to make the weight for a fight. You go into a sauna fully dressed and they get on exercise bikes and they pedal and they pedal and they pedal and they lose fluid and they get back on the scales and they're way lighter. Think of it like this. A pint of water is roughly a pound in weight. Imagine you drink 10 pints of water. Yeah, you just drink 10 pints of water. The weight of that water transfers from wherever it was to you. You now weigh 10 pounds heavier. And my contention is most weight loss programs, that's what they've been doing. For years and years and years, you're going, it's this same 10 pounds that's been swapped. I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down. And it really is, what you're doing is you're losing fluid. That's what's actually happening. This is designed to burn the real enemy, which is body fat. And when I used to bring this guy out and people would kind of go, oh, that's tricky photography, I used to go, think of it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because that's what Jackie had lost 20 pounds. That's what that is, 4 of those. You can see the shape change that's going to make. And BodySlims is designed specifically to burn body fat. And that's what you are going to be doing over the next 10 weeks. If you do what I tell you to do, when I tell you to do it. My friends, you are the author of your own life story. You know, I said to you there a few moments ago about the catchphrase, you get to pick how and who you want to be. Let me expand on that. You can change your life as though literally you have the pen in your hand right now. And the first thing I'm going to do is invite you to make a decision. And a decision is a moment in time, but it doesn't last a moment in time. Let me ask you this. We'll throw it out. We'll go crazy here. Are you married? You know, and if you're not, maybe you can imagine that you were. If you're married and maybe you have 3 kids and maybe you live in a 3-bedroom or a 4-bedroom house somewhere, if I pull you all the way back to the moment of decision, you were maybe sitting at a bar or in work and somebody came to you and they said, hi, would you like to go out for dinner? Or would you like to go for a drink? Or would you like to dance? Or whatever it was. That was your moment of decision. The decision you made in that moment, everything that has happened since, you know, would you like to get married? Do you take this woman? I do. All the way through to the life you have now as a result of that decision. A decision can change your life in a moment. And you can pick now and you can go, that's it. Never again will I be like that. And I'm making a decision right now to surrender to this program. For 10 weeks, and only 10 weeks, that's all I'm interested in here. I will do this. I will apply it. I will not give it a 50%. I'm going to try and get up. I'm going to really try and actually give my best. You do that and you change your life story. You have the pen. You can change direction anytime you choose. You are the hero. You are the heroine. You can describe yourself and you can be any way you want to be. And pretty much any way that you have a parameter to be. It can't make you taller, but it can really help you. I can really, really help you to change you. So who am I? You thought I forgot to introduce myself. I didn't. I like to build up to it. I find the older I get, the longer I need. My name is Gerard, and I am known as the Weight Whisperer, not a title I gave myself. It's something people started to call me after the first program. It was a lady called Catherine. I remember people were losing loads and loads of weight and all. And she actually just said it one day. She said, you're talking the weight off us. You're like a weight whisperer or something. And then everybody started to call me the Weight Whisperer. So that's where, in case you think I sit spending time at night trying to think up cool nicknames for myself. So it stuck. And I'm going to tell you a very potted version of my story. And I don't tell you this for any reason other than firstly to let you know, I'm a guide. I'm not a guru. I don't have all the answers. Number 2, I want to impress upon you that the only reason that I got good at any of this stuff was because I was so unmercifully bad at it. And third, to let you know that if somebody like me, you know, could change my life from where I was, you know, with a decision, what are you capable of? You know, if you unlock your latent inner power, what are you capable of achieving coming from where you are? Because as you'll hear, it won't probably be, and I certainly hope it wasn't, where I was. So I was born in England and I came to Ireland when I was 5. I was an only child, and my best friend, my dad, he died when I was 10. He went out and he just didn't come back. And early 40s, and that gave me a lifelong interest, let me tell you, in men's health. So from there, next thing that really happened to me is at 13 years of age, I met a friend, and that friend wasn't to be a very good friend to me for the next 10 years, and that was alcohol. Well, you know, it's fair to say, like, I'm guessing you know drinking stories. You've probably heard people's drinking stories. Maybe you have it in your family. I don't know, but I'm not going to bore you with mine. I will tell you it was horrendous. And at the end of my drinking, I had moved to England on the basis that maybe I'd be able to drink okay there. Maybe I'd be able to be, better there. And of course I wasn't. I was worse, and my life had got even worse. And one of the weird things that happened, this is like totally from left field, I got this terrible pain in my back. And I had to go to a doctor who sent me to a specialist. And I went up, saw the specialist, they did all these tests, and they brought me back. And this is the only time in my life this has ever happened. Sounds kind of quite dramatic, but it's just completely true. It was up in Hackney Hospital, and the consultant was an Australian guy, and he was really young. And I went in to see him, and he said, I've got good news and I've got bad news. I said, well, I'll have the good news. And he said, that thing in your back, something overarching spondylitis, it was going to be okay anyway. It was quite treatable. Everything was grand with it. Cool. I said, well, that's the bad news. And he said, would you like to change what you filled in on the form for what you drink in a week? And I said, no. I used to have this standard thing where I used to fill in 10 pints a week. And I always remember he said, if you took what you said that you drink in a week and you took it for a day and you multiplied it by 3, maybe you'd be getting close. And he started to go into this explanation, and he said, your white blood cells, I wasn't really following, but anyway, he says, I think your white blood cells are starting to turn red, or your red blood cells are starting to turn white, and anemia was mentioned. And the guy was a great people reader, and he looked across the table and he kind of went, this guy didn't listen in biology in school, he hasn't a clue what I'm talking about. And I always remember this as though it was yesterday. And he just stopped mid-sentence, and he just went, mate, you're dying. Maybe a year, not 2. Well, to say I was shocked is an understatement. Now, that's bizarre, because at this stage I wasn't eating, I was emaciated, I was about as sick as a human could be and still be standing. One of the things I used to to give you an idea of how warped my mind was at this stage, I used to walk, and when I walked, when I would walk, I would vomit blood. And for me, a win was vomiting blood, knowing it was coming, and getting my leg into a certain position so I wouldn't get splashback on my jeans. If I was getting that, I thought I was winning. That would give you an idea of like how mad I'd become. But he went on and he said, listen, you're a young man. And I was a young man, I was 23. He said, you're a young man, we can help. We can help you. I've got help. Will you take it? There's somebody waiting to see you now. We can change everything. Yeah, you don't have to do this. And I said, thank you so much. And we shook hands, and I went down the corridor. I was to go up the stairs to the left. I turned right out the door. And less than 10 minutes later, I was sitting in a pub called the Brownswood Tavern with a pint of Tennent's Extra in my hand, going, how did I get here? How did this happen? I couldn't have processed that news without a drink. That's the way I was at that time. But I had no plan to be in this situation. This was never the plan of my life. I did not think this could happen to me. And from there, I didn't stop at that moment, but I pretty much made the decision that I knew I had to stop, because if I'm honest, I just didn't want to die. I didn't want to die. And I came back to Ireland, and my mother did what only an Irish mammy would do. She took me back, and let me tell you, she had every reason not to, because I was very far from an ideal son. At this stage, people would cross the road if they saw me coming, and they were right. I was just bad news. I was in so much trouble with everyone, between owing money and causing trouble. It was just, my life was an absolute mess. But, she did that thing. She took me back. And for me, I went to an organization that was called AA, and it was brilliant for me. Now, bear in mind, for years, I've been trying to fight the drink. I've been trying to, I'll only drink at the weekend, or I'll only drink at this, or I'll only drink beer, I won't drink spirit. I went through it all. I fought and I fought and I fought, and I realized I couldn't win. That's why I went there. As I say, brilliant for me. And I did what you normally would do in a situation like that. I started to hang around with all people who were around. They'd all just come in as well. And we went to all the same meetings together, and we listened to all the same speakers, and we spoke to the same people after the meetings, and we read the same literature. We were given the same pamphlets. We saw the same slogans. We all did everything together. And As I say, I found it great. And at the end of 3 months in AA, if you can stay sober, 3 months continuous sobriety, you get this incredible honor. You're made a company secretary. Sorry, company secretary. No, you're made a meeting secretary. I told you there's no editing. A meeting secretary, okay? And in case you think it's a company secretary for a major bank, they're kind of slightly different. Your job, your function is to arrive early, make the tea, put out the chairs, and get a chairman to do the meeting. But you know what? There's no company secretaryship in the world that would have competed with how good I felt being that meeting secretary that night. It was down in a place called Monkstown, near Dunleary. I realise some of you guys are in California and all those sort of places. Hello to America and all that. But anyway, for those of you who are in Ireland, you'll know where I'm talking about. And that was where I did it. And my God, you know, I could not have been. It's impossible for me to transfer to you how good I felt, how honoured and privileged, and how good I felt about myself this night as I sat there. And as I sat there that night, I did what I will not allow you guys to do during this 10 weeks, because it's the only time when you're meeting secretary that you're not asked to share. And I won't let you drift off. That's what I did. I drifted off, but if you start drifting off, I'll start shouting into the camera or something, wake up, wait. So what I did was, as I sat there that night, I started to drift. And I started to think of all the people I'd come in with. And I realised something. I was the last man standing. And I sat there that night pondering this, and I was going, how can that be? We all read the same literature. We all went to the same meetings. We all heard the same speakers. We all got the same we all got the same stuff. I'm sitting here tonight feeling better than I have in 10 years. In the case of one guy, he was actually dead. He had come out from a pub near to where we were actually and fallen down in front of a bus. And he was buried in a local graveyard. That was all within these 3 months. How had I got a result where I felt better than I had probably at any time in living memory for me? And these guys, well, their result was so different, because up till that in my life, I'd always believed this, and I'm guessing you probably believe this. Knowledge was the answer, and a problem was caused by a lack of knowledge. But we'd all been exposed to exactly the same knowledge. How come? And I think that's what we're encouraged to believe, by the way, that the answer is always a lack of knowledge on your part. And what I discovered that night, and I went on, I chased this, I chased it. What was the difference that made the difference? How come I got the result I got, and their result was like polar opposites? How could that be? We all got exposed to the same level of knowledge. The difference that makes the difference. And I'm going to tell you about it in a moment. I'm not one of these guys, by the way, who does this. I'm very kind of directional. I'm not going to be going, probably better if you figured that out for yourself. I don't do that. So I will tell you about it in the moment. But out of that, I started to go out and I started to speak. And I was probably the youngest alcoholic in Dublin at the time. And I used to go to schools, and I went to prisons, I went to mental hospitals. I'm still one of the few people approved by the Department of Justice to go into the Central Mental Hospital in Dublin. I always feel they just like to keep their eye on me to know where I am. But I quickly developed a reputation as somebody who maybe had an ability to have a connection with people, to talk to people rather than at them, and to maybe make a little bit of sense to them and maybe be able to help them to make some changes in their own life. And as I was doing this at the same time, I started to apply this difference that makes the difference in my own life and became successful in business. And people started to come to me and they'd go, how come your staff never leave? How come they're always so happy? How come they're always so motivated? How come? And it would be suppliers, and it was actually competitors, and they'd come to me and they'd go, would you come in and talk to our people? Would you come in? And out of that came a seminar, and that was called Stepping Out of Your Shadow. And that was a very expensive seminar, and it was usually a corporate offering. People would put their people on it corporately. And one of the things that I would always do, because it's smaller numbers, BodySlims in the room at this stage is just overflowing. I mean, like we're crammed out, but this was a much more expensive offering. It was smaller groups, but I used to get people to do goals. And I would say, okay, list 1 to 10, what's your goals? And as we'd go through the program, part of it was that I would change the goals for them. They'd start to see what was really important. But, you know, you'd get at the thing and it would start off and all the way down. And it used to be maybe 8, number 9, somebody would put down, because people always wanted to be, I want to be a millionaire. I want to be the CEO of my organization, or I want to be the next level, or maybe number 8, I want to stop smoking. And I always remember the first lady, it was a lady, and about number 8 or number 9 on her list, don't remember which one, she actually put down, I want to lose weight. Well, it was like the floodgates had opened, and all of a sudden smoking kind of started to disappear, and weight loss just started to go up and up and up. Now, I don't want any of you, in fact, I know now somebody's going, Jesus, maybe that's what it is. Maybe I have to start smoking. No, I'm not telling you all to go out and buy a cigarette, but I did notice this. And weight loss finally did what smoking never had. It actually became number 1 again. It was a lady. I always remember it. It was number 1 on their list. Most important thing was not to be the CEO, be a millionaire, take her career to the next level. The most important thing was to lose weight. Now, people using the program that I had put together were achieving incredible results. And Sharon came to me, and Sharon said to me, will you put together a program specifically for weight loss? And I said, no, I don't like the weight loss industry. I never have. I have a sports background, a drinking background and a sports background, the only 2 things I was ever good at. But she said to me, you know, would you do it? And she was very persistent, very, very persistent. And in the end, I relented and I said, okay, I'll do 1. But I said with a number of caveats. And the first one was, I said, I will not create some elitist program. I wanted something that was affordable to as many people as possible. I actually got an actuarial friend of mine, and he worked out for the price of BodySlims to what you won't eat. Yeah, and he was doing it off the general populace, not off you guys, and I'm guessing for you, maybe it's even higher. But you know, that bottle of wine and that pizza, that covers BodySlims. Like, you guys should actually save money by being on it. I wanted to make it non-elitist, that we could get to as many people as possible. And number 2, it had to have appeal to men. I did not want men coming on this program and feeling uncomfortable. As I say, I've had a lifelong interest in men's health for a very good reason. I know what it's like to be a 10-year-old boy and for your father not to come home. And, you know, 66% of Irish men are either seriously overweight or obese. If you're in the States, it's even higher. Like, it's actually incredible. And, you know, when men want to lose weight, they go to the gym. Anyway, I won't digress too much. But the next caveat that I had was, I said, I wanted to just be about the results for the people. Like, I've been a part of setting up business, and large business and small business, and I understand the business plan and the projections. I understand why it's important. I'm not saying not to do this, but I'd always thought, what if? Well, that's kind of the way I think. And I said, what if you did it different? What if you didn't try and work out franchising 3 years down the road, or what way you could do? What about if you just totally concentrated, forget about the financials completely, and you just concentrated on trying to create the best weight loss program in the world based on the results your clients are getting? How about you just did? And that excited me. It really excited me to try and do that. So on that basis, we started BodySlims. And, you know, it was really weird because my accountants were going crazy and they were kind of going, this isn't a business model, this isn't going to work. But the results that we were getting, not the financials, the results from the people on the program were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I learned a couple of things. One, I didn't actually realize, I knew being overweight had an effect on people, but the truth is I didn't realize how much it affected their self-esteem and their self-confidence. I didn't realize how debilitating overweight was. Remember, my poison was alcohol, yeah? I didn't actually realize. And the other thing I learned was I really liked it. It brought me back to my early days. I started to really enjoy it. So from there, BodySlims just spiraled. BodySlims spiraled, and suddenly our rooms were absolutely full. And that's how we are where we are tonight. Now, I'm with you for the next 10 weeks. We're going to start into the program now. So are you ready to go? Yeah? All right.